Hi, my name is John.
And my name is Lloyd.
And we're the hosts of The Pint,
a pop culture podcast.
Lloyd, if you had to tell any of the people out there that might be listening to The Pint for the first time about anything unsavory or disconcerting we might do on the show, what would you warn them about?
Well, sometimes we drop spoilers, and sometimes we swear like motherfucking sailors.
Fuck yeah, we do. You heard it from him. You've been warned.
Listen in.
I don't expect other people to understand this, but I do expect you to understand this. We started this journey together.
It wasn't a journey, cuz. It was a prank.
Hey, everybody out there. It's a brand new episode of The Pint, a pop culture podcast. My name is John.
This is Hot Coffee Lawsuit.
Back from the land of Charlie Sheen, Mexico, and aliens, I bring Eric back again.
Thanks for finding me, buddy. Wandering in the desert.
I'm always glad to find you, Eric. The only question I have for you, and I know the answer is going to be no, is you've been on a bunch of these episodes now over the last 2 or 3 years or 4 years. Have you listened to one of the ones you've done yet?
Have I even? Not even a little.
No.
I just, I like to, once I've done it and it's there, it's just like, why touch a diamond kind of deal. So
I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
It's like, you put it out there and it's not yours anymore, right?
That's right. It's my gift to the world.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll let you all enjoy it.
All right. Well, I wish you'd listen to at least one,
Isn't it feel like there's a Meryl Streep thing about she's never seen a movie she's in or something So I'm taking that Meryl Streep vibe, that Academy Award winning vibe.
Jared Leto.
Is that his? Well, yeah, I wouldn't either.
I saw him on a show, maybe Kimmel or one of those, where they had to show a clip of one of his movies, and he literally took he's probably wearing a cape because he's Jared Leto. He took a garment and put it over his eyes, and the host, whoever it was, Fallon or whoever one of these guys was like,
well, was the host cackling like a hyena? Because then it would be Fallon.
Yeah, I can't stand him. I can't take him. But yeah, he apparently won't watch anything he's in. He covers his eyes. I'm like, oh my God, these fucking artists, these artists.
Yes, it's tough, but whatever it takes, let's get through the day, man.
No theme this month, so we're just throwing movies at you. But this one's a Pint Insider dedication. So my good buddy David Powell from Potty Mouth Radio, which is like a whole podcast network. He's been on the show before. A couple years ago, he did Extraction 2 with us, starring another Australian. David's Australian, and that movie starred Chris Hemsworth. And David is on We Watch the Thing and Hunt for the Perfect Album. Bunch of good shows on that network, and he's a patron for us. And if you're a patron, we either take your requests or sometimes dig deep and try was
this a sneak attack, Johnny, or was this a request?
This is a sneak attack. This is a dedication. I looked up his Letterboxd, and he gave the film we're talking about today, Sneakers from 1992, 5 stars. And I said to myself, well, here we go. Let's do it.
Let's get the two most unqualified. You've seen it once. I've never seen it discuss it in depth.
Nothing like seeing a 35-year-old movie for the first time ever or second time ever and talking about it.
Sure.
But yeah, David's a great guy. Check out Potty Mouth Radio. Check out We Watch the Thing. Check out Hunt for the Perfect Album. Yeah, all that good stuff down there in, I think David is in Sydney. He's on the eastern side of Australia.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So we're talking 1992's Sneakers. Let's get into it.
Want to ring the bell?
All right. Ding, ding.
Eric, I tasked you on this episode to talk about the production of Sneakers. What do you got for us?
Sure. So go through my notes quick. So this was filmed between October 28th, 91 and March 12th, 1992, released in September of 92. The budget, a little fuzzy. I saw 23 million. I saw 35 million. But regardless, for the amount of star power in there, kind of a low budget, even maybe for the time with the cast that they had. It actually made more money at the box office than I thought. I think a little over 50 million domestically, 105 globally, and finished in first place its first week of release. I'm trying to think. It was in first place for 2 weeks, and then Last of the Mohegans maybe knocked it out, but ultimately made over 100 million. So I thought that this was kind of like, I guess maybe it was disappointing, but the money, I don't know, kind of surprised me how much money it made. Location filming kind of California, Bay Area, San Francisco, locations, and some stuff on kind of famous sound stages. Want to talk about that in a little bit? It was directed by Phil Alden Robinson. He was a writer for All of Me and Rhinestone. So he kind of broke into Hollywood as a writer, and actually was kind of like a punch-up writer, I guess you call them, when they're not officially as a writing credit for Fletch. So like 90% of my research was trying to figure out if he wrote like the Underwoods.
The Underhills tab.
Underhills line, did he write that? That was all I really cared about. I didn't care about sneakers at all. Yeah. But he never revealed like kind of what he wrote for that. But other two writers, I got Walter Parks and Lawrence Lasker. They were actually the writers on War Games, which is the movie I immediately thought of, based on the premise of this. Well, it turns out, the writers of War Games, when they were doing the research for War Games, that's when they first learned about the sneaker or black hatters. These are like tech guys who are hired basically to break into your systems to kind of figure out how your systems can be broken into. So, in doing the research for War Games, they kind of came up with the idea for this script, and I think with maybe it was 20th Century Fox that they were aligned with, that hooked them up with Phil Robinson. Kind of took over the writing of the script, and they were kind of working on the script for like over 10 years, I guess, until finally it kind of came into being, kind of in the late 80s, and then he also got tasked to direct it. So Phil Robinson both kind of wrote and directed the movie. The score, the fellow did the score, James Horner, who just did a bunch of stuff. I mean, this movie sounds like the late 80s, early 90s. It just has that sound, the tumbling pianos, and kind of like when there's an action sequence, there's kind of little marching sounds, like kind of a Dirty Dozen-y kind of thing going on. But he did a bunch of stuff. I guess I should also mention that he worked on the baseball movie, the
Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams, which Phil Robinson also directed prior to Sneakers. So this was kind of Phil Robinson's blank check, because he wrote and directed Field of Dreams and had so much success that he went on to do this movie. And a bunch of the actors in this movie were also in Field of Dreams, as well as the composer. And if you hear a sax in the movie, that's Redford Marsalis. So kind of the slow, kind of like smoky black streets, back alleys, or whatever, those scenes where you hear a sax, that's Redford Marsalis.
Yeah, the score is definitely very set in a certain time and period of Hollywood, where a score like this would be in a movie, where it's just kind of jazzy, but not jazzy, kind of like a light jazz saxophone type thing happening.
Yeah, your John Tesh kind of.
I'm sorry, that's Round Ball Rock, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Very, very light jazzy. But yeah, I did see that score by James Horner, and then Branford Marsalis, I think it said saxophone, or along with Branford Marsalis was one of the credits. All right, well, let's get into the cast of this thing then.
Hey, who the fuck are you? Huh? Who the fuck are you?
All right, so Robert Redford plays Martin Bryce / Bishop. He's known as Martin Bishop in this film, but we find out it's an alias throughout the movie. You know him from being Robert Redford, but, a couple things that he was in. The Horse Whisperer, The Sting with his good buddy Paul Newman, and Captain America Winter Soldier. Not something I think people go right to, but he was in that, so I'm going to say it. Ben Kingsley plays the villain. I'll use villain in quotation marks on the piece. Cosmo. Again, if you want to stick with the Marvel MCU stuff, he was in Iron Man 3. He was also in Gandhi, which was definitively not a MCU film. And a really good movie from the early 2000s.
There wasn't any post-credits in Gandhi?
Yeah.
No stingers?
Thor will return in Gandhi 2. A good movie from the early 2000s, Sexy Beast. You ever see that?
I have not.
Oh, check that one out. I will tell you to check it out. Ben Kingsley plays a
Sexy Beast?
He plays a wickedly dangerous dude in that movie. Ben Kingsley isn't the kind of guy, he's the villain in this, but he's very much kind of like a tech bro villain. Sexy Beast, he plays like a Cockney London gangster who everybody is afraid of. And he's Ben Kingsley. It's a really good movie.
Oh, cool. All right.
Yeah, check it out. Sidney Poitier plays Donald Crease, who is is he at NSA? Was that what he was? Or FBI, CIA?
Ex-CIA. I guess released under some murky circumstances. I think he was ex-CIA.
We find out later he had a temper issue. If you know Sidney Poitier, he was in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. He was in the Heat of the Night, and a film that I like from the late 80s called Shoot to Kill with Tom Berenger and Clancy Brown. David Strathairn plays Erwin Whistler Emery. So on this team of sneakers, Martin Bishop is the kind of lead guy. Sidney Poitier, his character, Donald, is the ex-CIA guy who's also kind of like the ops guy. And then David Strathairn's character, Whistler, is a blind phone phreaker. Phreaker. These are real people that can discern sound to an incredible degree and use that to bypass security systems and all kinds of things.
Basically, he's an X-Man in this movie. Like this movie would have been over in 10 minutes if not for him to do just some amazing, but still kind of grounded in reality. Like, how do we get past this hurdle or get past this system or whatever? And he kind of, just by listening, he, pretty cool part of the script, I thought.
It is. And he's
actually, and this actor, I think of all the primary actors, the only one not nominated for an Academy Award. Although I guess later on he was. So that was just a trivia thing. Everybody else is just such a powerhouse, had been nominated at least, if not won an Academy Award.
Yeah, this film, like you said, was in development for 10 years, and Robert Redford got involved fairly early on. And then when it finally got to the point where it was going to be made, it was heavily on Robert Redford's name. Like, he was able to get people in that, because like you said, it is like a pretty stacked cast all the way across. David Strathairn was in The Firm. He was in the Stephen King film Dolores Claiborne. And if you don't know who David Strathairn is, he was in The Bourne Legacy. And if you ever watch memes or know meme culture, here's where you know him from. You see a meme of like a fat guy doing something kind of physical that's supposed to be like a joke, as if like he's doing something parkour. It always cuts to David Strathairn from The Bourne Legacy going, God damn it, it's Jason Bourne. If you've ever seen one of those memes, that's who David Strathairn is. Dan Aykroyd plays Darren Mother Raskow. He's essentially the tech guy on this team. He's the guy, who gets in and fixes motherboards and wires alarm systems and stuff like that. Of course, Saturday Night Live, Ghostbusters, Nothing But Trouble. River Phoenix plays Carl Arbogast. You know him from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. He is Indiana Jones in that film in the first 15 minutes. Stand By Me and Explorers. A year after this movie, like 14 months after this movie, he passed away on October 31st of 1993. Man, what a good looking guy. He's such a good looking kid. He's such a good actor. Every time I see River Phoenix in something, I'm always, sad that, it's sad that anybody passes, but like, a dude, he was 23, I think, when he died, or something like that.
Yeah, 23, yeah.
Pretty sad. Mary McDonnell plays Liz Ogilvy. She's not technically a member of the team, but she ends up using social engineering, is what they call it. In some of the articles I've read about this movie after watching it, she basically cons a guy using a dating site. We'll get into that. She was in Donnie Darko. She was in Scream 4, and she is probably best known as being the president in the 2003 Battlestar Galactica television show. A couple more here. Stephen Tobolowsky plays Dr. Werner Brandes.
I laughed out loud when he showed up.
We just did Basic Instinct over on the Pint Insider. He was in that.
Yeah.
He's from that. He's from Groundhog Day, Spaceballs, Garfield the movie. Timothy Busfield plays NSA agent Gordon. I won't get into it. You can look it up yourself, but Timothy Busfield's having a bad 2026. He has a lot of issues, apparently.
He's got 30-something issues.
Yeah, he's from 30-something, and he's got that many issues, but you probably also know him. He was in Field of Dreams. He was in First Kid, and he's probably best known from Revenge of the Nerds. He's the violin-playing, crazy-haired nerd with the giant Coke bottle glasses. I can't remember his name.
He's in the middle of it, like a nice little douchey Hollywood run here, because he's kind of a douchey in the Field of Dreams until maybe a little redemption at the end. And you don't know it right away, but kind of a douche in this one, too. So,
yep.
His douchey run.
And then finally, just because I love this guy, I got to throw him in here. Donald Logue plays Dr. Janik. You know him from Blade. He's like the head henchman in Blade that keeps on running afoul of Blade. A television show from the early 2000s, a sitcom that I actually used to watch, Grounded for Life, which was fun. And he was on Sons of Anarchy. He is one of those character actor guys. He was also, for a lot of people, probably Eric's age and my age, he was Jimmy the Cab Driver on MTV on those promos back in like the 1990s.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So he's been around forever. He has a small role in this. So the film starts off in 1969. Is it Harvard? Do they say Harvard?
I don't know if they say where they are. I can't remember.
It's snowy outside, and we've got a couple of young guys up in a I don't know, third or fourth floor of a building on a college campus. And they're talking about, very 60s ideals, right? Like these guys are obviously probably what you'd consider hippies to some degree. They're anti-establishment. And they're also apparently pretty good at, I don't know if you'd call them hackers at that point, but they're discussing the idea of basically being Robin Hoods and stealing from...
Transferring funds.
Yeah, stealing from the Republican Party and transferring it to the Black Panthers.
Panthers, yeah. The actor, I forget who it was, he was in Twin Peaks, who plays young Robert Redford, is pretty spot on, man.
Yes.
I mean, and this no CGI, hocus pocus or whatever. They found the right mustache, the right eyebrows, whatever they did. Pretty good, I thought.
Yeah, agreed. He does look like him. And these two guys just kind of have a conversation about how they want to change the world and, using illegal methods, but they want to change the world. As they're talking, they have a little bit where, they get hungry. So through a little bit of magic chicanery, like who's going to go out in the snow to get the pizza? Cosmo, who is the Ben Kingsley character, we'll find out later on. We find that out later on. Does a little sleight of hand and tricks Martin Bryce into going out that night for pizza. He gets out to his 60s van. It's snowing. He starts it up after it won't start immediately. And then he notices something happening in his rearview mirror. Eric, what's going on in the background?
Yeah. So I guess back then you called it the fuzz.
Yeah. The fuzz. The heat.
The heat, they show up, storm the castle or whatever. So he's there chewing on a pepperoni, watching his buddy there get cuffed up on the fourth floor. And here's where I mentioned as far as like a location. So this was the town square from Back to the Future. And this was the city hall or wherever the lightning hit or whatever. I think it's the same building.
I did read that. It's the center of Hill Valley. And
Hill Valley. Yeah, exactly. So so he and he kind of just slinks off into the darkness. Kind of says.
I couldn't determine who was shittier in this scene. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, so Cosmo is up in this building, like third or fourth floor, and he's in the window and he's getting handcuffed and arrested. And then you see on the ground, you see the Martin Bryce character watching this happen. So it's shitty that Martin runs and takes off, but it's also shitty that Cosmo is calling out to him. Like, you just got arrested. Like, don't narc your friend out too if he can get away. But on the two of them, really, Martin could do nothing. He can't go up there and stop them. So Cosmo kind of calling him out.
Well, he does have like most of a whole pizza. There's some bargaining power there.
You're right. You're right. So
but to your point, it's not like, he could have casted him like the look through the window, like go run and be free. He could have done like, the valiant kind of look, but he doesn't. He shouts his name. And
you've seen Heat, right?
Oh yeah.
You know the scene with the hand when Ashley Judd knows the cops.
Oh yeah. Does the hand on the balcony kind of
just move, go along. That's all Cosmo should have done. But I mean, I guess maybe that points out to the fact that Cosmo is not necessarily the most solid dude in the world. But so Martin Bryce runs off into the night, and now we are
and keeps running apparently to Canada.
Yeah,
he does not stop until
he goes all the way to Quebec. He's in Quebec eating poutine. He's having a good time, and Cosmo gets thrown.
Now, if you're futzing around a computer in 1969, is it that bad that you'd have to go? First, no one even knows what a computer is.
Right?
You think you got to leave the country for that? It's clacking away on a keyboard. I don't know.
I also don't know if you'd get thrown in jail for that at that point. I mean, I guess they made it a point that they were definitely stealing large amounts of money, so that probably isn't great, but. So we go to, I guess, 30 years later, right? 69, 25 years later, or whatever. It's 1992 now. And we kind of settle in on a scene of this sneaker crew in a van, and they're scoping out this building. And inside the building, we see, it's a bank. We see the night security guard doing movie night security guard things, aka just fucking off, watching TV, not doing what he's supposed to be doing. And we kind of go around the van and get to see a little bit of each of these guys and what they do.
Their expertise.
Right.
Who does what.
Mother, the Dan Aykroyd character, is in the sewers or in, underground, and he's clipping wires to bypass their alarm system, and Whistler is listening to each one of the contacts, and by sound, he can tell which one is the correct one to bypass the alarm. So
did you get the in-joke Whistler's mother? Did you pick that up?
No, I did not.
I got it when I was doing the notes. I was like, oh, Whistler's mother. The painting.
Oh,
Famous
shit.
painting.
Whistler and Mother. Did not get that at all.
What's cool about this is like Radio Shack hacking. Now it's just like you would just tell the AI to hack and just leave for the night or whatever. But these guys, everything is getting big and big chunky cameras or whatever, and actual like circuits that could, fry when you touch them together and whatever's going on. So yeah, the Radio Shack era.
Yeah, this movie is definitely 1990s technology.
Chunky monitors. That's how you know.
Monitors, green lettering on screens, that kind of stuff. So we get a scene where eventually, after they bypass the alarm, they end up breaking into this bank, and it's made clear that earlier on, the Redford character, Martin Bishop, as he's being called now, that's his alias as he's run from the police. He set like a smoke bomb off in a bank deposit box by opening an account and, sneaking in there. We didn't see that. And everything kind of goes to plan where they end up stealing this, right? It's they steal, what do they do? They steal the bank deposit box, or they just break in and then go to take the money out the next day.
Yeah, I know. He goes to the bank and makes the joke about, he doesn't feel secure in the bank.
Correct.
And he goes in and he picks up whatever he picks up. And then it's at that point they kind of reveal like who they actually are. Well, to us too, because I think at that point we don't know. We think they're maybe trying to break into the bank to steal as opposed to being hired to do it, right?
Takes all of his money out of the bank, puts it in a briefcase, tells the teller, or the manager, I just don't feel safe with my money here. And then he goes immediately to another area, I think of the bank, maybe where he had some investors, the people that run the bank that hired him we find out, like you said, that they get brought in to find security weaknesses and alarm weaknesses and stuff, and then kind of tell these people, this is what you need to do. So it was all a ruse, right? It was a heist, but it was a ruse. And that's kind of like shows us all of our guys here. He goes back to the office and he is encountered by a couple of guys who claim to be NSA agents. By me saying they claim to be, I'm telling you right now as a spoiler, they're not, but we'll get to that. Timothy Busfield and his partner, and they tell him that they are NSA agents that are looking to procure his services, but not pay him. They want to get him basically a clean slate. They know who he is. You're Martin Bryce. You did this all these years ago. Your friend went to jail, and
Martin Bryce of the empty folder. Martin Bryce.
Yeah,
that's his dossier, just an empty folder.
Right, nothing in it. And he also says, we also learned at this point that Cosmo, his friend, who went to jail, had died in jail years ago, supposedly. He's the bad guy of the movie, so clearly he didn't, but
the one thing I like about this scene is also how they kind of introduce all the characters, because as they're going through, here's your ragtag, group of characters, and they kind of go through each character and what their past a little bit, like what they were in jail for or whatever. So you meet them in the first scene, but I kind of like how they just kind of, again, they read each character's dossier in the recruiting picture or blackmail, basically. Yeah, I thought it was a cool way of doing it.
We know Whistler is this almost savantish guy who has these abilities. We find out that through the course of the movie that Mother is a conspiracy theorist, and I'm pretty sure they just based him on Dan Aykroyd, or at least because Dan Aykroyd, the aliens and ghosts. And all
he said it was his brother at the time. I guess he in interviews they said, I got all these conspiracies, because basically as the movie was being filmed, he would bring his own conspiracies that he said was his brother's, but as you know,
yeah,
they both of them are.
Dan Aykroyd's one of those rabbit hole guys.
Sure.
Poitier, we find out his character has been fired from the CIA, but they never say why. And River Phoenix, although River Phoenix never does anything really with computers in the movie, he's kind of more like they kind of use him as a driver, or he goes in to the buildings to actually help.
We need you to crawl through a vent.
But they make it a point to say that he shut down the FBI database or something with a computer. He did something major with a computer, and they actually caught him And then they hired him.
Yeah, during one of their black hat ops or whatever. Yeah,
Right.
he impressed them, I guess. So
They traded a jail time for working with Robert Redford and the folks. So what do the NSA agents want from him?
do we know yet that it's a box? I can't remember.
Yes. They basically say that it's a college or a university professor has created communications device of some sort called C-Tech Astronomy. And I think they say it's a code breaker, but they don't get into the depth of it, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm not sure. I know right after there's, they bring in the love interest there and they go to the lecture, right? But I can't remember if they go into detail of what exactly the box is and what it does. But yeah, basically it's kind of a retrieval op, right? They got to get this thing from the place.
Redford goes, Martin Bishop goes and sees his ex-girlfriend,
who is not getting back together with him.
This is the whole joke in the movie is they're not getting back together. I think if I had to give this movie, and I know we're not rating it yet, but it gets frustrating is not a good word because I'm not frustrated by anything in this movie, but we get a lot of, I guess, backstory that's never extrapolated upon. And this is one of the things. They had a relationship. We don't even know what she does.
She's a music teacher. I mean,
right.
And she was doing something before that, and they're in an apartment. She's got like a grand piano, so it's not a music teacher salary. So I don't know whether she comes for money or whatever. But yeah, she had some other job prior to being that music teacher. I don't know if it was related to what he was into, but. I mean, why did he kind of recruit her? I mean, other than trying to get back together with her, I mean, what was the kind of the business purposes of getting back, involving her in this? Is it because she's an academic and would understand the lecture? I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, because they go to the lecture of this Dr. Janik character who is who's the mark, they're going to try to steal this item that they don't know where it is or where he's hiding it, and they don't really know what it does, but Martin looks at this as a way of freedom from him running all these years and using a fake name. The NSA is going to let him go free, and all he has to do is bring him this box. So they go to this lecture, and he understands none of it. She doesn't seem to understand much more of it, and they have a conversation with I guess, I don't know, is he supposed to be a Russian spy?
I was thinking diplomat. Maybe his character was written a little differently, but like during the filming, the Berlin Wall fell. So they had to even the business card he hands out in the movie used to say like USSR, and then it would said something different. And that's not even what that was something that lasted like a couple of months. Like it went from USSR to something else, another name, Confederate, something of something. But anyway, his character, I think, changed. But yeah, he's Russian and they have history there too, Bishop and this guy, and they meet at like a cocktail party. And is he just trying to get information from his Russian because he thinks the device is Russian?
Yeah.
A little confusing.
Because he even says at one point, because he's at that lecture, and he even says, I didn't understand a word of it. So I think this is just kind of like in the movie, almost a meet cute where we get to see Bishop hanging out with the Liz Aluvi character. And, we're going to need that Russian consulate character later on. So eventually they start to put the surveillance on Dr. Janik. And immediately we kind of come to find out in what I think is a pretty humorous scene as they're watching him at night at his apartment that he's having, it's not an affair because he's not married, but we'll get into that. He's making sexy time with a woman that, in my opinion, looked like she could have been his mother maybe, but hey, we all got our things.
Sure.
Yeah. So as the two of them, this is just a scene basically to see more of the sneaker stuff, right? Like they are trying to find out what his password is, and she's blocking the way by
he's right about to type, and then the doorbell rings, and then she comes in and stands right in front of the window and blocking the camera or whatever. Later on, they have a recording of it, and they're all saying different letters what they think the password was or whatever.
Right. They're trying
and then Whistler does his X-Man thing to figure out exactly where the box is in the office, sort of.
Yeah,
something that's said, he figures it out, but.
Yeah, they figure out the box is inside of an answering machine on the desk inside of his office or apartment.
Yeah, the reason just just quickly, it was funny is that during their conversation, they were saying something like, well, I left you a message with your service, implying that he didn't need an answering machine because he had a service answer the calls.
Didn't even catch that.
Yeah. So then when they're describing the box, he's like, well, that shouldn't even be there kind of thing. And that's where they figured out why that it's should be in the answering machine, this black box.
There's a pretty funny scene in this where when the woman that he's the other doctor who's at this conference that he's obviously fooling around with shows up, and she kind of exposes her bra and breasts to him. They're all watching through a single telescope, and it's just really funny because Redford's looking at it, and then Poitier, his character Donald Creese, is just kind of standing over his shoulder like, let me see. And I thought it was really funny because
he's got seniority, so you got to give it to him, right?
He does, but it's funny because like when you think of Sidney Poitier as an actor, you just always think like dignified, and I mean he's not even not in this. He is dignified in this, but like there's just that let me see, and then you also get Carl, the River Phoenix character, who's like can I take a look, sir? So they're watching all this happen, but they determine that it is inside of this box, so they end up sending Bishop in to retrieve it, and he uses a little bit of foolery at the front gate. What does he do with some balloons, Eric?
What does he do? Oh yeah, so doesn't Carl cause a distraction with the desk guy?
Yes,
and he's pretending he needs to go to a party on the 5th floor or whatever, and they talk real fast and make a commotion enough so that the desk guy says, "Oh, just go in," kind of. Isn't that what they do?
Carl causes a commotion as a delivery driver, and as he's doing that, Redford, because this is how it works, Bishop, he pretends that he lives there. Yeah, he basically says, like, buzz me in, I've got to get to my party on the 5th floor, and he's holding a cake, and he's holding a bunch of balloons, and as the desk guy is yelling at Carl, he's just like, can you open the goddamn door? And he does, and a lot of these things in this movie with stuff like that, people probably really use, because
it's kind of like the Axel Foley method of entering a building, just cause like some weird ruckus or just make them uncomfortable where you just want the situation to be over. Yeah. So you let someone in.
This is where we find out that this is a really 1990s tech movie, because he gets up to the office or apartment, and this is a trained crew of guys that clearly could break into banks and all this stuff. And there is just a simple number pad on the door, and it stymies the shit out of all of them. To the point even where Whistler's like, well, I don't know how we're going to get past that. And I just thought that was funny, because I would think even in this time and world that would just be an easy one for them to get through.
Don't you do the infrared on the thing to see the prints to tell the numbers?
Yeah.
Isn't that the go-to?
You spray some infrared flashlight, and you just look at where all the numbers have been pressed. So we get another humorous moment where Bishop just kicks the door in, and he's going through, and he takes the box out of the box. So he finds code reader, pulls it out, and then he gets confronted by the mistress, who is now walked in on this and is like, who are you? What are you doing here? And he is, listening to them, and they're giving him lines to say to her. It's a scene we've seen in a million movies. It
was good though. I thought it was pretty funny. I thought they did a good job with it.
Whistler fucks around with him and has him say a couple things that he wouldn't say. And then he just basically kind of ad-libs, and he tells this mistress that the doctor character who she's cheating with, or who she's having an affair with of some sort, is married, and that he was a PI hired by his wife. None of this is true. And then he gives her advice. He's like, he's trying to talk her down, and then he leaves. And we go back, and we have like a kind of a party scene, right, Eric?
Yeah, they're dancing. They're all kind of dancing with it. They take turns dancing. Yeah, they're back at their I forget what they call it in the script, like the lair or something. There's a name for their hideout or whatever. This huge. It's funny. The sound stage that they filmed their hideout in is the same sound stage they used for Jurassic Park, where the T-Rex was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just a callback because I was on that pod with you.
I heard it. I listened to that one.
Yeah, you heard it. Yeah. So you would know. I heard it. I heard a rumor. I was on it.
You were there. You were there. Yeah, they just have like a nice time. They're all celebrating because they've been told they're not even getting that much money, right? It's like $175,000, I think. Even though the NSA, basically said they're gonna get Bryce's name cleared, they also said we're gonna pay you. So, I think earlier I might have said that they were coerced into doing it. There was promise of payment. They're all talking about what they're going to do with the money. As they're kind of all hanging out and talking, Whistler is playing around with the code reader, and he's going through different channels on this thing, and eventually he comes up to a screen that kind of amazes him. And
isn't he working with Mother like circuit to circuit kind of?
Yeah.
Or what, you know?
Mother's going circuit to circuit, and he's also, we get like a scene where Whistler's wearing these like black Terminator X sunglasses, and we see the screens like on the reflection of the glasses. And meanwhile, for some reason, Martin has become kind of obsessed with the C-Tech Industries thing, C-Tech Astronomy name that these guys used. And there's a Scrabble board, they're playing Scrabble, and he starts to play around with all of these things. And we get a couple of humorous combinations of those letters, but we finally come upon what phrase, Eric?
Yeah, so basically they're playing around like anagrams. So they're taking that C-Tech Astronomy with the Scrabble pieces, and he, for whatever reason, inspired to do so, try to figure out, well, maybe this means something else if I scramble the letters.
Right.
And as he's doing that, so he's revealing that part of it, while Whistler's mother are revealing actually what this, the capabilities of this box, and it's kind of in tandem. So yeah, when he finally figures out what the anagram is, which is too many secrets. And that anagram leads back to the beginning of the movie when they're doing the credits, because the credits all start out as like anagrams, and then they unscramble to, the name of the actors and then the name of the movie, right? There's anagrams in the beginning of the movie. Yeah. Too many secrets. And I think it was supposed to be no more secrets, but in order to get the Y in astronomy, they had to make it too many. They needed the Y for the script. Yeah. So yeah, too many secrets. And then as they do that, they reveal, Johnny, what the box does, what it reveals.
Yeah. So early in the movie too, while Cosmo and Martin were talking about like all of their ideals and what they want to do with their hacker powers and everything, one of them was like, Cosmo like was talking about the idea of like just erasing everything and bringing all classes to one level. No more rich people, no more poor people, no more debt, blah, 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 all that stuff. And so, yes, too many secrets, and Whistler and Mother are playing around with the box, and eventually come to find out that this is the ultimate code breaker. Nothing could withstand this box. They prove it by going into, Carl has a little black book of different, I think, websites or IP addresses, if that was even a thing back then. Where they're like, okay, let's try the next thing. How about the air traffic control system? They bring it up, and with the code breaker, they get right into it. How about the National Reserve? Right up immediately. And now, all of a sudden, these guys are all very nervous, especially Kreese, the ex-CIA guy, because he's like, okay.
We're dead man walking with this thing, basically.
Right. They're starting to become maybe concerned that this wasn't an NSA agency that was hiring them to do this. And so he has his wife and his kid there. He gets rid of them. But he tells everybody else, none of us leave till the morning, because the next morning is when Bishop is supposed to bring it to the NSA agents. So they end up staying there overnight, and Bishop and Kreese go to meet the NSA agents there, at a breakfast spot outdoors somewhere the next morning. And Bishop shows up, and the NSA agents are sitting there, and Kreese is in the car waiting for him. But Kreese notices something in the newspaper. Eric, remember newspapers? Remember that?
The Chronicle? Did it say exactly? Was it a San Francisco paper? I can't remember.
It probably was. I don't know if it said it. This is also, I wanted to point this out. This is the third movie this year the Pint has done that's set in San Francisco. I don't know if I've not noticed it before, but we did Basic Instinct and we did Vertigo. And here we are again. It's like my 2026 of watching movies is all SF-based stuff. But what does he see while Bishop is going to talk to these guys that alarms him?
Yeah, so the professor has been found dead, been found murdered, right? The professor they stole the box from?
Yeah. Janek has been killed, and now he is panicking. So as Bishop gets up with the box to give the box over to the NSA guys.
Hey, your mother's on the phone or whatever. Because don't they have a car phone or something?
Yeah, they have a car phone. Yeah.
Speaking of 90s and, artifacts. Yeah.
I thought that was funny, too, because he even makes a line. He even says a line about it where she's very old. Because when Poitier says to him, your mother's on the phone, I'm like, how old is Robert Redford in 1992's mother? Like, he is easily, probably 55 at this point. Sure. His mother is probably long gone. But Yeah, your mother's on the phone, and he's looking over, and we see the NSA guys opening a briefcase. We don't, I think, ever see a gun, but we have a feeling what's going to happen. And he ends up saying, "I'll be right back," and goes back to the car. And Kreese is like, "Janek is dead. Those guys aren't NSA. Let's get the fuck out of here." And they take off. As they're taking off, they end up going back to the loft and basically telling all the crew that this was a setup. And they go about trying to figure out who this could have been that set them up. And he immediately becomes concerned that it was his Russian friend Gregor. So he decides to go visit him at a performance that he was invited to earlier in the movie. And Eric, he goes there, and how does he coerce Gregor out of this performance?
I remember them getting into the car.
He does a very movies thing. He puts a gun in his back during the performance, or like where anybody would probably notice that, and just goes, "Listen to me. Don't make a move until I say so." You know, he does one of those
And
things.
it actually was a gun and not his finger. Kind of, it was. He had a little gun, right? Because that comes out later. It's kind of important in like 5 minutes, right?
Yeah, he has a gun. So he takes the gun and takes Gregor and says, "Listen, Janek is dead, and I think you are behind this." And he says, "I'm not behind this." He goes, "Why don't you come with me and we'll talk this out?" So they go to his consulate vehicle, which is important. And they take off. And as they're taking off, they get pulled over in a tunnel.
This is a famous like movie tunnel, right?
I feel like this is the same tunnel. And
This is a Terminator tunnel. Another pod, which I believe you've told me I was on.
You were on, yeah. I was just going to say this might be the Terminator tunnel, where they're throwing the dynamite at the Terminator on the motorcycle. I feel like it's very possible that this is that tunnel. So these people pull him over, and I think they claim to be NSA or FBI. And Gregor knows that this is probably not what it seems to be. And he tells Martin, "I think you should claim asylum. Like, my vehicle is also
it's part a mobile consulate kind of."
Yeah, mobile consulate. Claim asylum and you don't have to get out of the car. And he doesn't know who to trust, so he doesn't stay in the car. He gets out with them, and we see not Timothy Busfield, but the other fake NSA agent. And how does this all go down?
He finds the gun, takes it out of Bishop's pocket, and just bang bang. So he kills the Russian, whatever, we don't know his profession officially, and the driver, right? I guess there was a driver who starts a run, right?
Yeah.
And then he gets shot.
And then the NSA.
And then your fake NSA just clocks Bishop, right? Knocks him out.
He pistol whips him a couple times in this movie. Yeah. Bishop wakes up in a trunk, and they're driving along. This is going to be important in a little bit. I said to my girlfriend when we were watching the scene, I go, in 2026, this couldn't happen. All trunks have that little release now. You know, how long did that take? How many people in this world have been kidnapped and murdered and thrown in trunks? And like finally in like maybe the mid 2000s, car manufacturers went, "Hey, it wouldn't really cost that much to put a little release inside of here." Yeah. If you were locked in a trunk in 1992, you're getting killed. It's just going to happen.
Unless you're Bishop.
They don't want to kill him though.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
they get him back.
You better know some NSA secret or whatever, or you'll be dead.
100%. They end up back in what appears to be a villain's lair. Very nice, kind of, office. Very techie looking. We meet again the two NSA agents who are not NSA agents. And then we meet Cosmo. Cosmo has been alive all this time. How did Cosmo get out of jail? Do you remember that, Eric?
Yeah, so he got involved with organized crime. Who secret? They're not that organized. Which I thought was a funny line. Just something about he got in good with organized crime. Showed him how to do illegal phone stuff or make long distance calls and not pay for it. I forget. How does it go from there? So he organized crime, and then they got him released. Okay.
They got him released, and he basically became their bookkeeper for all these years. But he says that's like his day job. That's how he makes money. He still has the same ideals he had in college, but on a grander scale. He wants to destabilize the government, kind of. He wants to destabilize banks.
Yeah, his plan is a little murky.
It is murky, and two things are murky in this bit of the movie. His plans are murky, and he offers Bishop the opportunity to join him again. And also what I thought was kind of weird was very much like they don't really get too heavily into the aspect of Martin and the Liz character's relationship other than just constantly saying that they were together at one point. They never really talk about why they broke up. It's just kind of like this joke. But Martin is also not that shocked to see Cosmo alive. Like, he's like, Cosmo. But like, if this was somebody that you were really good friends with that you maybe in your mind betrayed or felt betrayed by you and who you thought died and went to jail for many years and died in jail and you felt a guilt over that, he just takes it in stride. He's just like, oh, Cosmo.
Did he really think he was dead?
I felt like he did.
I don't know.
Okay, you think maybe he didn't think he died?
I don't know, but to your point, because I kind of felt the same way. It wasn't like a ta-da moment or whatever. It was just like, oh, this, you just guy came out from the darkness and your evil lair, and I don't know. You're right. He was kind of very flat, so it made me think, maybe he knew that. I knew I would see him. I don't know. I come up with reasons for things that don't make sense. I don't know.
I think there could have been a little bit more depth in this bit of the movie. Or even built up where Martin had this incredible guilt over what happened, and there was.
He doesn't seem to have that either.
No, he doesn't. He came back to America and just changed his name.
Sure.
So he's not even so worried about getting caught. Like I would have just probably lived in Canada forever. I mean, Canada's wonderful, and he could have avoided a lot of shit, but he came back. So Cosmo offers him a opportunity to join him in this plan, and he says no. So then Cosmo basically says, well. He goes, I'm not going to kill you, but I'm going to do one worse. I'm going to release all of your information. So, like you said earlier, there's like the empty file on him. There's nothing. He goes in and he changes everything to show that Martin Bishop is Martin Bryce, and they know that they've been looking for Martin Bryce all these years. So now he's a man on the run. What is the first thing he does as a man on the run? He goes back to his apartment. Goes back and he kind of tells the rest of the Sneakers crew that it's Cosmo. This is what's happening. Cosmo has the box, so we have to kind of figure out how to get it back. Now, how do they figure out? Whistler's very important in this part. How do they figure out where Cosmo's lair is, Eric?
Whistler, he's listening to the story about him being locked in the trunk, and Whistler starts asking him questions about what he heard while being in the trunk. So, because they're saying, where the box could be anywhere. It could be next door. It could be down the street. It could be, So they say, well, what did you hear? Did it sound like you were on a highway? And then, no, okay, yes. Did it sound like you're on a bridge? And then they're like, okay, well, if you're on a bridge, so there's 4 bridges apparently out of San Francisco. So which bridge did they take? And they say, was it foggy on the Golden Gate last night? Yeah. Did you hear a foghorn? No, I didn't. Okay, so you crossed that one off. So through kind of a process of elimination, they figure out what bridge he took. And the funny part was then it sounded like we were at a cocktail party, which I thought was a funny bit, which is actually taken from an older movie I read. I can't remember. It's from the 60s. So the idea of being blindfolded and hearing what sounds like a cocktail party, but it being something else to figure out.
What was it? It was seagulls or was it?
Yeah, I think it was geese. It was like
geese.
Yeah, just a gaggle of geese just quacking or whatever. I thought it was kind of funny. So
I like the part where they're figuring this out. Because as they're figuring it out and as Whistler is moving him along the different prompts, like, okay, was there like any spots in the road that made any noise? Like, boom, boom. And he's like, yeah. And then Whistler is like Mark Rebelay. He starts to fucking like mix this song. And he's like, okay, he's got bridge noise. Then he's like, da-dunk, da-dunk, da-dunk.
He's got the DJ half headphone on or whatever.
He's got one can over his ear. He's scratching.
So it turns out a production assistant and a friend of hers actually flew out to San Francisco, got into the trunk of a car, and drove over the bridges to figure out what it would sound like for the script. So it's a real thing that happened. And they were just joking. It was a director's commentary. They're like, well, someone's watching somebody get into the trunk of a car and drive over the bridges to figure out, again, like, I don't know, the spacing between the, I don't know what you want to call them, beams on the road. I don't know what those things are that you would hear the thump every couple of seconds or whatever. But so I guess it's accurate. If you're ever across the Dumbarton Bridge or whatever, that's how it really sounds.
That's interesting. Okay. Yeah. So they finally figure out that the Cosmo's lair, as you would call it, is a was it Playtune or it was some
Playtron. It's like a toy manufacturer.
So they start to put the surveillance on this place, And through different methods, people coming out at certain times, lights being left on, they determine where Cosmo's office is, and they know that the box is in the office. By the way, when they finally do get to inside the office, the box is not secured in any way, shape, or form, which I thought was hilarious. This guy is willing to, like, he's killed people. He's willing to go to, like, extreme lengths, but he doesn't put it in a safe or anything. He just leaves it.
Isn't there, like, a light shining on it or something, or, or whatever, just like on a pedestal or whatever? So, yeah, so the break-in ends up being like a kind of inverted Mission Impossible, like a really boring Mission Impossible.
I wouldn't call it boring. I'd say it's...
No, but it's just like the slowness of it. Not that it's just the act of having to be in the room and get it. It's a kind of like, It's the 55 and plus older crowd Mission Impossible. right.
Where everything's a little bit slower. So here are some of the elements of this final heist to get this thing. We'll go through this. Liz finds out that this Warner Brandis character, played by Stephen Tobolowsky, has the office next to Cosmo. And so they rig a dating site, which was crazy. Like they talk about online dating, computer dating, they call it, but like
right.
1992. They rig it so that she meets him. His office has a voice imprinted passcode, and she needs to get him to say like maybe 7 different words, like, hello, my name is Warner Brandis. And
isn't passport?
Passport is in it because that's the last word she has to get him to say.
Yeah, that's right.
So she goes on a date with this guy who's kind of like a slovenly, like kind of loser, to a Chinese restaurant and is working on getting him to say this.
The best band ever in the restaurant.
Yes, yeah.
It was a real band that they had him sing. It was awesome.
So it must have been somebody's nephew. So while she's doing that, they're getting set up for everything else. Carl is going to dress up like a delivery person and pretend to use the bathroom inside the place, and then trick the guard by having Mother, who looks nothing like Carl, dressed the exact same way and going outside, confusing the guard so he could stay inside. Crease and Whistler are going to stay in the van. And Eric, I'm going to let you explain the particulars of what has to happen inside Cosmo's office for them to be able to take this thing out. There's a couple of factors they have to make sure are correct.
Yeah, I know they have to raise the temperature of the room, and do they have to raise it so that when Bishop is in the room, it doesn't recognize his body temperature? Is that the reason why they have to make it?
They have to raise it to 98.6 human body temperature because there's temperature sensors, but there's also another thing that he has to do to get to it.
Well, I mean, I know they have the man-size air ducts that you require to in Hollywood to be able to.
True. No, he also has to only move at like 2 inches per second, I think it is.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying before. Super slow, just kind of slowly making his way towards this thing.
What is a 98.6 degree room like? Like, Jesus, that's hot, man. I like the fact that when the whole thing is done, and Cosmo realizes that he's been robbed of this machine. When he goes into the office, he goes, "Why is it so damn hot in here?" He goes in the room. He doesn't set the alarm off. He slowly walks across the whole room. Meanwhile, while all this is happening, Carl is going through the ducts and Mother is adjusting things on site. Eventually, Werner Brandis determines that Liz has been using him, and she, instead of calling the cops, he makes her go back to his office with her, which I thought was weird because I would just think she can go, "I'm not going anywhere with you." He takes her back to the office, and
I guess because they have their own security there, so you turn her into, if she's trying to get access to something in the building, sort of makes sense, I guess.
To smarmy, like mini ponytailed Timothy Busfield. So he ends up getting, Bishop ends up getting the box and absconding into the air ducts, but as Liz shows up with Werner, initially it seems like everything has been a mistake, and then she makes a point of saying that they met on computer dating, and Cosmo plays the like Reacher Settler thing. He's like, "There's no way that anything matched this nerd with this hot little piece of ass right here." It's a fucking heist. This is a heist. This is what's happening.
Yeah, then he go like, "Bishop," and he squeezes his hands together, shakes them.
He's on the march to get back to his office to make sure the box is there. Meanwhile, the older NSA or ex-NSA guy, who's one of his goons, figures out that Bishop is in the man-sized air ducts and is shotgun blasting the ceiling, which I thought to myself, nobody's got to be happy about this, like the people that own the building or anything. Eventually corners him. And how does he finally get away? He gets caught, right, at this point?
Oh, yeah, he gets caught. He has to come down. And I think the pistol whip guy, his nemesis there, was about to kill him. And that's when he calls on River Phoenix.
Yes.
Right? To save the day, sort of.
There's a point made earlier in the movie that Cosmo will not kill his friend, but he's okay with letting his goon kill his friend.
Yeah.
So he says it. He goes, "I told you I wouldn't kill my friend." And then he looks at his henchman and goes, "Kill my friend." He leaves the room, and just as this guy's about to shoot Redford in the head, he calls out to Carl, and Carl falls out of the ceiling and lands on the guy. I think it would have been better if it was Aykroyd because he had a little bit more heft. River Phoenix falling on you would probably just be a minor inconvenience, but he puts this guy right out, and they do now.
I know they end up on the roof.
they end up on the roof, but they also end up finding out that they switched the boxes again, right? Like, because doesn't Cosmo think he got the box back from him, or no? No, or does he just leave the room with him still holding the box? He does.
He leaves the room.
He figures that his guy's going to kill him, right?
Yeah, it's the Batman kind of, leave the room.
Yeah.
Should
have paid attention. So, yeah, they end up on the roof. It's a chase on the roof. They can't get off the roof, and they see the truck is across the way, the bread truck that they've been using, and Kreese and Mother end up getting taken out of the car by some of these thugs, and we end up finding out that the reason that Kreese was kicked out of the FBI or CIA was his temper, as I said earlier. Because one of the guys, I think he gives him shit or says something to him or hits him. And Sidney Poitier's character, Kreese, takes his rifle from him, knocks the guy out, and then points the rifle at him. And it's a PG-13 movie, I'm sure. This can't be R. He drops the F-bomb. He's like, "Don't mess with me, motherfucker." I laughed at that because I was not expecting anybody to say motherfucker in sneakers.
Yeah, just the funny thing about the rating is that I guess the first cut of the movie, it was basically a G rating. Because even the murders that happen, they're kind of filmed from a distance. There's no blood or whatever. So they intentionally threw in some F-bombs and some swear words to get it up to PG-13 to, so adults would want to go see it.
Yeah, I think it just takes one F-bomb, and I think that was one F-bomb. Yeah. So for whatever reason, while this is all happening, Bishop is talking to Whistler and tells Whistler that he has to do something to save them. What does Whistler have to do? The blind guy, by the way.
Oh, he's got to drive the van, right? Does he have to get the van over to the building? Is that where he's going?
He's got to get the van over to the building. He's probably a football field away. It's like an industrial parking lot with a lot of little blocked off areas with little trees and stuff. And we get this really funny scene where he's driving way too fast, man, too. He's driving so fast through this parking lot, and Bishop is essentially directing him. My left, your left. And the way it ends, I think, is kind of funny because
you're going to stop in 8 seconds or something. Doesn't he say that?
He tells him to stop in 8 seconds, and he stops, but he still hits the building. But he hits it just so gently that nobody could have been hurt. Everybody starts to get off the roof, but again, Cosmo comes back one more time and demands the box back, and eventually he threatens to kill Bishop again. But how does their interaction end up, Eric?
Does he give him the box, and then Bishop is going down the ladder, and then he realizes that the box is empty? Is that what happens?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. He still has the box on him. Yeah.
Gotcha. So one of the 5 or 6 switcheroos, you get the empty box kind of moment.
It's the old switcheroo, and he even says to him, because there's a point where he could kill Bishop, and he says, you said you couldn't kill me, and he doesn't. That's really they get down and they escape, and that's the end of the Cosmo character. This isn't like a typical movie or a Bond movie where the villain ends up being thrown into a jet engine or anything. He just lets him go, which I think is interesting, and I'll talk about that in my rating in a second. They get back to their headquarters, and earlier in the movie they had tried to contact the actual NSA for help, but they believed through.
We skipped that. Yeah,
some lie detector machinations, long phone trace, and they determined that the voice on the other end is lying.
Yeah, folks, basically everything we didn't talk about, really cool, that we just skipped over.
Yeah.
Cool scenes.
Yeah. Hey, We're already at like 59, or we're an hour and 3. We're at an hour and 3, Eric.
Okay. Yeah, moving right along.
So they get back to the apartment, and it's James Earl Jones as the character he was talking to on the phone. Nice little cameo, also a Field of Dreams reference. I thought this was funny. We kind of get the progenitor of the Armageddon scene where they're all asking for stuff. Basically, we need that box. And Redford's character is like, we kind of know that this box isn't going to be used for like foreign code breaking because, earlier in the movie, it was one of the points someone had made was that this will not interface.
It only works on U.S. codes.
U.S. codes. So he knows that the NSA is planning on using this against
to spy on Americans. Yeah.
Spy on Americans. So he says, okay, well, I'll give it to you, but I need my record cleared. And then they kind of all go through stuff. Whistler asks for peace on Earth. Again, Carl, River Phoenix, great looking kid. He asked for a attractive female agent's phone number.
The one holding the Uzi right next to him.
Yeah. And she goes for it. She's like, you could ask for anything right now and you're asking for my phone number. And she just gives it to him. And because he's, probably genius level intellect, you see him looking up and he's like throwing the number into his head.
So that was a real number. You notice it wasn't the standard 555 Hollywood number. So that was a real number at the time you could have called. And then there was some kind of reference to sneakers on the number.
That's cool. Do you know that this movie also, I read this was one of the first movies that had an electronic press kit for a film?
I did read that. They handed out like a 5 1/4 disc. I don't know. What did they hand out? Probably, right?
It said a floppy disk. Yeah. Which had, some of the information about the movie on it.
That's pretty cool.
I think, it is cool. So they all kind of like, Mother asked for a Winnebago, he wants a burgundy interior. And earlier in the movie, there's a scene where Kreese is talking about wanting to take his family on vacations all around Europe and Tahiti. And he kind of demands that as
Tahiti's not in Europe.
Yeah, Tahiti's not in Europe. So yeah, it's a humorous scene. James Earl Jones just nodding his head. Okay, what else? What else do you want? What else do you want? And they leave. And as they're kind of all talking at the end, Kreese kind of says to him, like, you just gave them, this ultimate power that is going to kind of work against the United States, people and government. And then, of course, we have the 17th switcheroo.
For sure.
Where Bishop pulls out the actual...
The main chip, right? Or something.
The chip. He has the chip that controls this thing. And then the movie goes to the end. It's just a bunch of newscasts talking about all of the things that they had talked about in the beginning, like the Republican Party's national, funds have been...
Bishop kind of completed his childhood, Robin Hood kind of thing, where they did take money from the RNC or whatever and give it to like Save the Whales and Greenpeace or whatever.
Right. The Girl Scouts of America.
Yeah, what a bunch of cookies.
I'm not going to put this in my ranting part of the movie. I'm going to throw it in here now because we're talking about it. This was a problem I had with this movie was, look, I'm not a movie writer, but as an audience member, if they had just eliminated the fact that Cosmo had anybody killed in this movie, so like he had the Russian consulate killed and the driver killed, that makes him irredeemable. If he didn't kill anybody and the movie still ended the way it ended, where he doesn't die and he lets Bishop go and he's just kind of defeated, I think a better ending would have been if they just brought him in on everything. And, like they were able to reconnect their relationship, and they did the things that they talked about doing all those years ago. I know why they couldn't do that because, he did kill people. He probably ended up having to go to jail, or maybe he's on the run now. They don't ever talk about that, at least that I remember. But did you feel the same way, Eric, that that's a missed opportunity to, again, I'm not saying get Sneakers too, but it kind of would have been a nice ending if they had this bit where it's like, well, Cosmo joined the team and, now he's getting to, along with Bishop or Bryce, do the things that he wanted to do.
The only reason I guess I didn't feel that way is just that the character of, Cosmo, their relationship seemed like we already talked about, kind of cold and estranged. It's not like they had a rapport and the Cosmo character was kind of like you were rooting for him really at any point. I mean, this is me, where I wish they could get the magic back. They didn't really have any magic. So I didn't care that I didn't really need him to be redeemed or get with the crew because he wasn't very charismatic and they didn't seem to be very warm with one another, or even in an adversarial, but kind of like we have a history kind of way. I don't know. They seemed kind of cold, and he was just kind of the bad guy really for me, as opposed to like some guy that they could have recruited him somehow and joined the team. I don't know.
I agree. I think it's shows that the movie didn't do enough with their relationship. Or what they could have done is at the beginning of the movie, they could have made it seem like they weren't friends, but they were maybe just like two guys that had similar interests that worked together.
Sure.
They make the scene seem like these are two college buddies that have the same ideology and have the same goals. And it's supposed to add a level of feeling when he leaves Cosmo there and Cosmo gets arrested. And also when Cosmo sees him leaving, that like, oh, this is like a very sad moment for these two friends.
Right.
But you're right. When everything comes together later, Redford's character doesn't seem like he's really happy to see Cosmo again. And, Cosmo does offer him the chance to, and that's another miss, right? He offered him the chance to join him to do this. And Bishop said no because, obviously he did some bad things to get there. If he wasn't as bad, if he just had stolen money or something and he offered Redford the chance, the movie would have been, I think, pretty interesting at the end when he was defeated for him to go, all right, we're going to do this, as above board as possible. I'm going to offer you the chance to join up. But unfortunately they made it so he killed like two characters in the movie. And
he did try to kill or have his buddy, we're shooting into, human-sized air ducts or whatever. And threatening his ex-wife so he just became like just a villain kind of archetype, really, as opposed to like a character. I think you're right, though. I think it probably would have been a better movie if he was like more three-dimensional. There was more of a history. He could have turned the tables on. No, I'm going to offer you a way out. It probably would have been a more interesting like movie.
All right, let's talk about the box office.
Hey,
Sing it!
baby, I got your money.
Sing it, girls!
I said, hey,
Just sing it right now!
I got your money.
All right, so this was released on September 11th of 1992. Weekend of September 11th through September 13th. Let's talk about the top 5 films that week. It had been out for 5 weeks. It made $2.4 million. It's single white female. Bridget Fonda and Jennifer Jason Leigh. Short haircuts. A dude gets stabbed in the eye with a high heel. I think Stephen Tobolowsky's in that as well. Let's see. Number 4, $2.6 million. 6 weeks out. Clint Eastwood, Unforgiven. Great movie. Wow. Number 3. Opening at number 3. Wow, I'm surprised by that. $3.2 million. Pinhead's back, bitches. It's Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth.
Number 3, all right.
Number 3. That's the one with the totem pole in the middle of the room.
And the CDs or the evil flinging CDs, razor CDs.
Another 1990s movie. Let's see here. 3 weeks. Number 2 that week. $3.8 million. James Caan and Nicolas Cage and Sarah Jessica Parker. Honeymoon in Vegas. And opening at $10 million. Sneakers. So, pretty good box office there for this film. Robert Redford, kind of in the maybe Twilight-ish area of his career, but it opened pretty good. So
as far as his acting, I mean, this is kind of his highest profile. He directed Quiz Show, and went on to do the Marvel stuff, but this was probably close to it, maybe, as far as big-ish box office for him as a lead. Yeah.
I would agree. Yeah, definitely. All right, let's rate this fucking thing.
Now! What's it gonna be, Doc? Huh? What's it gonna be?
All right, 0 to 5. 0 being the worst thing ever, 5 being the best thing ever. Quarter and half scale optional. So before we rate this film, I'm going to read off our Pint insiders who jumped in on this thing. Only 2, and one of them is here. Hot Coffee Lawsuit from Bridgeport, Connecticut said, "Hey,
what did that bastard give this thing?
Hey, I just finished watching it. I give it a 010110101. A little bit of the digits there.
Binary humor,
binary code. And Professor Joe is the only one that jumped in on this, other than Eric here. Solid 4 for me. I really like it. So let's get into it. I'll go first on this one. So this movie is breezy as hell. It's a fun watch.
And it's close to or over 2 hours too, which when I first, I check it out, when I'm doing this stuff, and I was like, 2 hours, but didn't feel like it.
It's breezy. It's got a great cast, right? I mean, you got Hollywood legends, Robert Redford, Sidney Poitier. You've got guys that were up and coming at that point, River Phoenix, David Strathairn, who's basically like a theater actor mostly, and character actor. Dan Aykroyd, kind of doing, this interesting conspiracy theorist role. And, Ben Kingsley. I mean, even though he's not in a lot of it, Ben Kingsley's a great actor. It is definitely underwritten. There's no other way to put it. It's very basic. It's a heist plot, and like I said, there are some missed opportunities there. We learn about all of these characters. We learn about Whistler and what he can do, and we learn about Mother, but we don't, and we know they're all base level. We learn all base level. Like, we know that Carl is like the junior guy who wants to be the Martin Bishop guy at some point. Everybody is written just enough that you like their character and you know just what you need to know, but no more than that. I'm okay with it in a movie like this. Some of the things are a little weird. Like I said a couple times during the episode, the whole relationship between the Mary McDonnell character and Robert Redford is referenced constantly. Like, we're not getting back together, but there's never any reason to find out, like, why was their breakup so bad? Like, why is she so tired of this guy? Why does she fall in with him so easily?
I tell you, it was heavy lifting to suspend my disbelief that someone's breaking up with Robert Redford. That was the toughest part of the watch. Definitely.
Agreed. Yeah, you kind of put up with some shit when it's Robert Redford. So what I'll say about this is this: it is a formulaic movie, but it is super entertaining. It's enjoyable. I'm going to give it a 3.75. I had a really good time with this movie. So it's fun. And it's from an era, it's early 1990s. It's from an era where, if this movie had gotten rid of even if you're not even talking about the Cosmo becoming a good guy thing, you could have gotten rid of him hurting or killing anybody in this, and it still would have played fine, right? Like, almost when you get into like the murder aspect of it, or, Janet gets killed, kind of gets a little heavier than it is in those bits. It's kind of hard to describe, but it kind of gets a little heavier than this movie needs to be. You could have just said Janet disappeared, and at the end of the movie, you could have found out Cosmo had him tied up in a hotel room somewhere.
Sure.
So I'm going to give it a 3.75. Eric, what do you give 1992 Sneakers?
Yeah, this movie was a fun surprise for me because I never saw it. I mean, I was always aware of it. Like, I kind of the poster with the heads peeking out under the little curled up sardine can thing at the bottom of the poster. So I was like, I don't know why. There's certain movies from this era that I've seen 100 times, and this, I don't know whether it wasn't on, or I don't know. We were on different schedules. I was working a night shift. It was on a day. I don't know. Yeah, like, really fun movie. There's a certain kind of movie, like from the, mid 80s, late 80s, early 90s. It's kind of like this, and Running Scared with Billy Crystal, and like Midnight Run. These kind of like dramedies, action, the certain amount of, Harry, the things could go wrong, but no one's really going to get hurt, that you're rooting for, kind of thing. Just like really fun, actiony, smart dialogue, good characters. And this kind of falls in that sweet spot of that kind of movie that I don't know if they really make anymore. So if you think about the plot too much, like more than 10 seconds, it doesn't really hold, but the details are fun, like the technical details and how they figure things out. If those were dumb, if those went like early 90s, let's make up the internet because nobody really knows what it was, like the net, kind of like, with the screen looks like giant, chunky, like things that no computer ever did even back then. But because it was kind of realistic, and I guess when they're making the film, they kind of aim for realism, whether it's their research with, the sneakers, Black Hatters, or how the screens looked at the time. They try to mimic so the details are smart, I thought, especially like the Whistler character, like all the steps that he takes, although, I mean, kind of ridiculous, but smart though. I mean, it kind of threads the needle. So although, yeah, if you really look at the plot, it's maybe, if you're, like doesn't really, who knows what he's going to do with his box, and where does he get all this money for henchmen and this giant building and his lair? Like, yeah, I guess that's always the thing. Where's the evil guy get the funding for his evil giant lairs?
The mafia.
Yeah, the mafia, I guess. Being a bookkeeper, I guess, pays well to take over your own syndicate. But yeah, just just a fun watch, and just the characters are fun and smart, and some surprises there with Ed the Ned or whatever, what's that actor's name that plays the date, showing up is just perfect casting.
Ned Ryerson.
Yeah, Ned Ryerson. Yeah. So I give it a 4. I'm one bump up for you. I give it a 4. I thought it was a fun watch. I'm glad you asked me to do it because I had fun watching it.
Awesome, man. I'm always glad to have you on. I'm always glad to to have someone check something out that they've never seen before. Like I said, I saw this 15 years ago. I had also not seen it, upon first release. And at some point I just said, fuck it, and watched it. And I remembered, liking it. And then I was going through Dave's letterbox, David Powell again, who we're doing this for. And I saw that he had rated this like a 5. And, I said, you know what? Let's do this. And, there's a website, I'm sure people out there know, but if you're a physical media person, I just discovered this website, gruv.com. If you're looking to maybe avoid Amazon or, the big box places like that, they have some fucking great sales on DVDs and Blu-rays and 4Ks. I have got to stop myself because I've done a little bit of Gruv shopping over the last couple of maybe the last month or so. But yeah, if you want to check it out, and I bought it. It was like $8 for the Blu-ray, and I said, okay, I'm just gonna buy this, and I remember liking it enough, and I will watch this again. My girlfriend actually liked it quite a bit. So, yeah.
I could definitely see, like, of a certain age, sneakerheads that grew up with this movie, like, being one of their movies. Like, I could totally see the rewatchability of it, like, people giving it a 5-star, especially if they grew up with that kind of thing. So, I'm like, getting kind of old and jaded, so I got to knock it down. I can't give it a 5. But I could definitely see, some sneakerheads out there just like really loving this movie. So
people on chat boards still saying, why was there never a Sneakers Part 2?
Right. I guess there was going to be a TV show for half a second, like 2015-ish or whatever. It never got off the ground, but I could see this being a show, right?
100%. You put this show on CBS right now. You put this show on CBS with a whole different cast and crew. Obviously, you'd have to, because most of these people are not with us anymore. This would be Thursday night at 8:00. Every 60-plus-year-old person on Earth would be watching this show.
Right, would be obligated to watch it, yeah.
It would end up with like 26 seasons. There would end up being like Sneakers New Orleans eventually. David Caruso would end up as one of the leaders of a sneakers team. Yeah. All right, so Eric, by the way, I want to point out, Eric jumped on tonight and said he's suffering a little bit from a cold, and I appreciate you making it on and pushing through as always. You're the absolute best, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, I put my pants on one leg at a time, man. So
That's right. Everyday hero. Everyday hero. So this episode was again for David Powell, down there in Sydney, Australia, one of the co-hosts of We Watch the Thing. Awesome movie podcast, him and B Dizzle, Billy. One of my favorite shows. I'm not kidding, David. I hope you hear this episode, obviously, because we did it for you. But every time your show pops up on my, a new show refreshes, I go right for it. So,
and let me just also say, I enjoyed my time on Captured Loop's Topic, which is an anagram for the Pint, a pop culture podcast.
Oh, I might change the name of the show. It makes as much sense as the Pint, a pop culture podcast for a movie podcast.
That's a cult dropout papes. I don't know if papes is a word, but
papes sounds like a word that like kids today would call money.
That's right. Yeah, there you go.
You got the papes.
Yeah.
The Pint, or what was it again?
Captured Loop's Topic.
Captured Loop's Topic can be found on any podcast player that you might enjoy listening to, iHeartRadio, all that stuff. Check us out if you are interested in joining up on the Patreon and possibly getting a dedication or a request done for you. Then head over to Patreon/thepint for $2.50 a month. You get 2 extra episodes every month, and we'll do an episode for you, whether you ask for it or not. Eric, say the words.
See ya.
It's over, Johnny. It's over! Nothing is over! Nothing! You just don't turn it off!